everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about the spooks. It's October, everyone. We are continuing on this Halloween train in the Pod Cavern. And well, you know what? I was just about to introduce the movie, but that doesn't make any sense because I have to introduce my terrifying guest today. So scary with his very long hair now, for context. And this is an audio podcast, so no one can see his hair anyways. But this person did not have as long as hair as he does now. And you know what? He's more than just hair. He's a great person. Let's just start with that. I'm talking about Steven Price, everyone.
Oh, well, thank you, Tongue. I appreciate you. And yeah, we saw each other for the first time in about 2 years, I would say. And yeah, definitely, it's been about 2 years since the last time that anything has been done with my hair outside of just a nice quick wash.
It's just so distractingly beautiful that, like, I've always admired you, Steven, but like, you're on another level. You have entered a new plane, and now all I see when I look at you is just hair.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been quite the adventure, and every so often I'll pull it out of a ponytail or a bun and just have a total like Fabio, like Old Spice commercial moment. Just like feel like I got to take my shirt off at any given moment.
Now the question is, do you take your shirt off?
Less so at work, but there's always that occasional like, oh, I'm taking off the outer shirt. No, the inner one came with it.
Oh, I got you.
Everyone gets to see my wonderful 8-pack that I've got going on.
If
people case.
Don't. Yeah, Steven's jacked with a full 8 on his abdomen, if you will. Steven, you've kind of been on the periphery of the Pod Cavern before in terms of like you've stepped foot a little bit. You've watched Cinema Saves the World with Justin Godley from Pull the Plug and but I don't think you've ever actually fully immersed yourself in the darkness and the dank of the Pod Cavern. How does that feel?
No, it feels great. It's fantastic to be able to get the opportunity to sit down with you and talk about some of our favorite things, some of our favorite pastimes. And it's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to it.
You know, that's a really kind answer. But Steven, I was way more curious about how do you feel about the dank? How is the dank to your liking in the Pod Cavern right now? Can I light a candle?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Keep it as dank and dark as possible.
All right. So you don't mind that like a possum in the corner is just a vampire eating a human being. That's okay with you.
Oh, I almost expected it, to be honest. And I've got a couple of dead raccoons taped to the ceiling just to ward off evil. So you might just hear like a hard splat as it drops. So
very good.
It's getting a little crusty over here.
Well, as we know, Steven, evil dies tonight, which I guess, we will get into it, but not yet.
Oh, we'll get there.
Steven, for the people who don't know who you are, of course they don't. You've never really been in the Pod Cavern. You want to just say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So for myself, I kind of stepped into, I want to say, the art scene, about 5 years ago or so. I was a big kind of proponent in my high school's drama department. We would do traveling shows around anti-bullying to spread the good word about being kind to each other to all the public schools in lower Ontario. And that kind of just brought me to getting out of where I was initially in a small town where there's not a lot of opportunities. And it brought me to the wonderful area we're in now, where there's kind of nothing but art and tech and excitement all around. And I've been able to really grow myself as a person in the area. And I've met wonderful people here, yourself included, of course, who've just been able to bring me to another level and help me really find who I am in the arts and help me understand what I enjoy. And, I want to help share as much of my enjoyment of arts and as much as I've pulled out of everyone else. out with the world. So it's a little quick snippet about me.
Oh man, yeah, you have sponged up all of the artsiness of from other people, and you are looking to what de-sponge? No, what's the word? Squeeze
Yeah,
the sponge. Yeah,
I guess squeeze me like a sponge, you know?
I will squeeze you like a sponge. This metaphor is falling apart real bad, but we all know now that Steven is in the arts, and what kind of stuff is, keeping you going during the pandemic, during these darker times? Is it the arts? What exactly? The arts is such a vague term. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think just, people's ability to share their creativity and the kind of message and their dreams and aspirations through their art. I kind of look to a big event that dropped recently on Netflix was Bo Burnham's Inside.
Oh, so
and
good.
There's so much that I could say about that, but I think just the idea that he tried to get across with, he's one guy in a room with a camera, just recording what comes out, recording the story and what he's feeling, and just being like incredibly raw with his audience. And, that's something that over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, as we kind of round the corner into November, I've been really enjoying seeing. It's so weird to, think about the pandemic in a positive way. Mm-hmm. But when I think about the things that it's kind of spawned in the arts world, with movies, cinema, short films, music, everything that's come out of it's been so wonderful to see, because we've all just had a chance to really sit with ourselves and think about what it is we want to share with the world, as we've all been so kind of cooped up. Yeah. So it's been really refreshing and really exciting. I know I shared with you while we were together the other day, seeing all this new art that's coming out in the form of movies, especially through the month of October and November.
Oh man,
it's
nuts.
Insane. Like it's crazy to see how much it's all come together. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So are you a little bummed that you had an album and special called Inside that you were going to pitch to Netflix, and then Bo Burnham did it?
Yeah, but if there was going to be anyone who beat me to the punch, I'm totally okay with it being Bo. I've been following him for years, and just what a mastermind. So what?
100%.
He can steal that away, and you know what? I'm totally okay with that.
Okay, you can work on your next one, I guess.
Yeah, and it's actually funny because we were talking about the movie last night in Soho. We saw the trailer for that, and apparently I did the music for that. If you look it up, Stephen Price did all the music for that movie. It's a Stephen Price original. And you don't even remember Grammy this year.
Wow, you don't even remember doing that. That's how much you absorbed as a sponge and sponged out into the world.
Exactly. It's just happening, and I don't even know it anymore.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so spare time, you have a little bit of downtime for yourself. Of course, arts is a big passion of yours, but what do you like to do to unwind, Steven? What's you baking things? You using yeast for something?
No. I think what I've been doing the most, honestly, is just, it sounds counterproductive. I've just been sitting around, just kind of taking in everything as it comes. I've recently gone through a move, so I've been unpacking and kind of dealing with the craziness of every so often open a box and put 5 things away. Just beat. So that's my day. Got to crack another beer at the end of it.
Yeah, of course. Every time you put 5 things away, you get another beer in your belly to fuel the impact.
That's my motivation to keep going for unpacking. But I've recently redeveloped a love for vinyl records. So I've been listening to a lot of records again, and just sitting and, taking in each part of each music. So it's, right now it's more of an auditory relaxation session when I have free time.
Are you into ASMR?
Not so much. Not so much the ASMR. It kind of weirds me out, people being that close to my ears. The ones that really get me are the eating ASMRs.
Oh, yeah.
People like crunching on weird stuff really, really close to... Yeah, no.
Yeah. I don't know. So every now and then I go on Twitch, and I used to go on Twitch a lot, but now it's just to me anyways, a shit show. But
I mean, yeah.
yeah, but I ended up on an ASMR channel because I'm always curious to dabble. And then sometimes you run into a thumbnail that you're like, all right, I got to see what this person's up to. Usually it's someone who's, a little promiscuous and they have some sort of object that you're like, this shouldn't be allowed on Twitch, but I need to know what they're doing. So
of course,
you got to see. And this person was just like, all right, for every like, I don't know, whatever bits that Twitch is, which is like, the currency that you can use on Twitch to like pay someone. And if I get X amount of bits, I will French kiss this microphone with tongue. Obviously, it's a French kiss. So you hear it and she's like, okay, here we go. And it's just like, oh my God, what, people like this? And then she's just like, don't worry, I clean this microphone every day. And it's just like, what is this?
Yeah, I don't need to know that. It's just... The thing that I probably love the most about that, and it's something that I see a lot in other Twitch chats that I'm a part of, is people a lot of times watch streams like that to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So imagine, it's 3 a.m, you're just drifting into REM, and all of a sudden you just hear someone French a studio mic, and it's just like, that's got to wake you up. Like,
it just sounds like, honestly, it just sounds like a very sloppy blowjob. Is what it sounds like. I don't know. I mean, that's what Frenching is. It's just all like slurping and tongue, and I got to move on from this conversation. That's the other thing that I wanted to bring up, which is not related to yourself, Stephen, but I got to bring up this thing behind me, the old bike, this old spin bike. That's what's new in my life, literally from yesterday. And I'm not here to like promote Peloton. It's not a Peloton bike, but it looks like one of those very fancy bikes. And it kind of is. It's a Schwinn, whatever that means. And it's one of those bikes that you can hook up to whatever, and you can use like those spin classes for like, the reason why I got it is because I'm finally, hopefully, getting married next year, which was supposed to happen 2 years ago. But I'm like, I gotta friggin' lose some weight and so I can look good. I gotta look fit for this wedding. And I took my first ever Peloton class tonight because I have like a free trial. And the only reason why I bring it up is because Stephen and I are used to working at a cult. Now, I'm not going to say where that place is, but it's a friggin' cult. No doubt about it. Now, Peloton is like, I think, a new wave of cults that I was like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Stephen, have you ever been in like, maybe you haven't, but like, have you ever seen like really, really, really enthusiastic fitness instructors before?
Oh, I mean, you don't get a body like this one by, frequenting fitness centers quite often. But I will say I've definitely been past, open air fitness centers or, people out in a group out in the park. And yeah, cult is a very good way of describing it. They've almost got that mob mentality of we have to crush this goal today, and I'm going to crush anyone who gets in my way.
Yeah, and there's
it's interesting.
It is interesting, and there's just like a feature where you're sweating, and they're like, tap your screen so you can high five other people taking this class virtually right now. And the it was a 20-minute beginner's class, but she's like very, very upbeat and enthusiastic and motivating, which is great. It's all the things you'd want in an instructor. It just can be like a lot because she's like, all right, everyone, you feeling me right now? You feeling me on this journey? Your first step on your Peloton journey of life. And then she's like, punch in the air. And then at the very end, she's like, I do this every single session. And then she throws one fist in front of the screen. She's like, you are worthy. You are the best. This is Peloton. Something like that. It's not, I'm paraphrasing here. I guess I just wanted to bring it up because of this whole idea that you and I used to work at a cult-like thing. And this just seems like it's way more intense.
Yeah, it's got that little bit of California flair to it that, a lot of cults seem to pull from. You sip the Kool-Aid a little bit too hard and you're gone.
It's nuts. And then I have people at my current job who are like, add me on your Peloton app so I can high five you and follow you and see how much you don't exercise. And I'm like, I don't want this. Is just,
Yeah,
I just want to
no.
ride the bike. That's all I want to do. Anyways, tangent over. Let's get into the news of the week, pop culture news, which is pulled from IGN.com. We were just reading the news headlines, and I've never seen them before. So, Stephen, guess what? My first ever article headline for you is Pennyworth is heading to HBO Max. Now, this is the only reason why I'm bringing this up is I forgot there was an Alfred Pennyworth from Batman TV show, and they are on their third season, and I know nothing about the show.
No, me neither.
Except for like, I guess Alfred's cool. I didn't expect people to think he's so cool that he needed 3 seasons on, like, I think maybe originally CW. I can be completely wrong about that, but is that a character you're like, yeah, we need a whole show about him?
No. And you know what? Just to kind of prove a point, when you said Pennyworth at first, my brain went Pennywise, and I was trying to think of what an HBO Pennywise series would look like. I would have honestly not very much of a clue who this character really is.
Yeah, I'm there's a lot of DC fandom stuff that happened last week, which is DC's event of just like, here's all the shit that we got coming in the next year or so, which ends. I mean, we don't have to talk about more of the DC fandom stuff, but in short, they kind of showed more of stuff that they showed last year. And they had a lot of people being like, hey, my movie's not even close to being done yet, but it's coming, baby.
Yeah.
30 seconds of that movie, and we're like, great. Like, why are we having this event? And then here's Robert Pattinson in a Batman costume. Speaking of, are you excited for Robert Pattinson to be Batman?
I actually really am. And I've been following him for a little bit now. It started mid-pandemic. My partner and I were looking for something to watch on Netflix. And as we do, we came across the Twilight series, and known kind of across the board for terrible acting, terrible writing, terrible editing, just being kind of all around terrible. It was the first time that I had really sat down and watched the series, because we watched all of it. So it kind of put us down a rabbit hole. And that man did his best with probably the worst story ever written. And it just kind of led me to the rest of, the pieces that he's been in. And I'm like, he's not a terrible actor. The man can act. So I'm kind of excited to see him as Batman.
Oh, yeah. Robert Pattinson has done some phenomenal work post Twilight. If you want to see something good, check out Good Time, and check out, well, I actually haven't seen Tenet, but I hear he's pretty good in it. And he's been in a bunch of different stuff too, trying to prove himself outside of, the Twilight series, which I think is kind of like a common thing for actors as they squeeze themselves into this huge money-making machine. And then afterwards they can get like kind of kooky and weird about it. And then finally we accept them as an actor, kind of like The Rock, for example.
Fair.
He did some really, really terrible movies back in the day. And now he's like the number one paid actor of all time now. We have like, let's see, Zac Efron from High School Musical, which everyone would be like, Zac Efron from all these other movies. They can't even forget about High School Musical, right? Now, Robert Pattinson, same thing. You got Twilight. Now you got Twilight money for days. Now you can do whatever you want, anything you want.
You can take every random movie, every small part in a play that comes up that just seems interesting to you, and it's kind of low risk at that point.
Yeah, I think of Daniel Radcliffe the most when I think of this example, because that guy will swim in Harry Potter movie or money until the day he dies. And if you look at his filmography, and I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but if you look at his filmography, he has done some weird stuff post Harry Potter, and it's great to see.
I can't remember if it was a stage play or if it was a movie. I know I saw an adaptation of it for a small stage.
Mm-hmm.
It was Equus, and feel free to dive into a plot synopsis of that movie if you'd like, but he was one of the main characters in it, and his performance in that was shocking. There's a lot of really graphic imagery, and I only knew him at the time when I had seen this from Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like complete whiplash. It's like, oh my God, what just happened? If you're not into weird horse movies, maybe stay away, but it's interesting.
Does anyone have like a true taste for weird horse movies?
Well, I'm into any weird movies, not necessarily weird horse movies.
Okay,
but,
okay, yeah. I was like, I don't like weird movies, but I really like weird horse movies.
You throw me a movie where a guy's putting on a horse's head, I'm here. I'll be front row staring up at a big old screen. I want to see it in 3D.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this because when I brought it up on Talking Tongue, I didn't have to, but I did do a solo episode by myself and I brought up my excitement for Kingdom Hearts. Now, I don't know anybody. Actually, that's not true. I know like 4 people who really like Kingdom Hearts in my life. And Steven, you're one of them. So my question to you, this is the news headline, which is basically Square Enix reveals why Kingdom Hearts on Switch will be limited to the cloud. Now, for the people who don't know, Kingdom Hearts, this very popular game series that's a mix between Disney and Square Enix properties, mostly Final Fantasy, merged together. And you have Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald and a guy that has a sword, but it's the shape of a key. It's called the Keyblade. I can go way more down the rabbit hole, but I won't.
Oh, you could do a whole episode just on Kingdom Hearts.
It would take us like 4 hours just to try to make sense of the plot of Kingdom Hearts. It is so convoluted. Anyways, it's finally coming to the Switch, but there was a little hesitation because it's coming as one of those cloud games on the Switch. I guess my general question to you is, how do you feel about cloud gaming on, I guess, the Switch? The cloud gaming is happening everywhere. We have it with PlayStation Now. We have it with xCloud, like even certain aspects of Game Pass, I think. But Nintendo, when it can't run like a pretty high up game, it kind of resorts to like, well, here's the cloud version of it. You always have to be online. You better have a good connection. Otherwise, it's going to suck. But Kingdom Hearts, those games are kind of old. It's like a PS2 game.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this?
Actually, I think coming up soon, it's going to hit the 20th anniversary or the 20th anniversary of it.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot that we can talk about with the Switch in general here, but I think it really just hammers home that the Switch isn't a home console. It's a handheld console you can play at home on the TV. So on one hand, I've got, if it brings more AAA titles, like if we're looking Kingdom Hearts 3, which came out on PS4, Xbox One, and now PC, if it can get that on the Switch, but it has to be cloud, sure.
Yeah.
I can understand something that's a AAA title. Kingdom Hearts 1 came out on the PS2, like you had said, and there are games in this series that came out on the DS, on the Game Boy, the 3DS. Like, these are not hard to run consoles.
Yeah.
So that begs the question, if we're doing it that way, is it a storage issue? Like, are we just trying not to completely load up the Switch with nothing but Kingdom Hearts? Because I will buy a Switch to fill it with nothing but Kingdom Hearts.
You already have a Switch, but you'll buy an extra Switch to fill it with Kingdom Hearts.
This will be my 4th Switch if I buy it all for Kingdom Hearts.
Are you kidding me? 4?
No, so my launch model died. It died valiantly. I don't know, how long has it been out? Probably like 4 years.
How did it die? What happened?
It stopped turning on completely. So
Weird.
You would press the power button, and if you put it in the dock, it'll flash green for a sec and then just go dead.
Oh, really?
So there's something wrong there. So I bought a Switch Lite at the start of the pandemic because I was like, well, Animal Crossing can't not have a Switch right now. And then this was probably 6 months ago or so. I found an Animal Crossing Switch at Best Buy and was weak and I bought it and I love it and it's fantastic. So if I buy another one, that'll be my fourth Switch.
Oh my God. That's but you need to get one just for Kingdom Hearts and for Donald and Goofy and the gang,
Yeah,
the whole gang.
You have to.
Woody.
We need a Sora and a Riku Joy-Con, not a Sora and a Kairi Joy-Con. Come on, that's never going to happen. It'll be Sora and Riku.
I love the idea that we're talking about this. I know exactly what you're talking about, but nobody at home, because there's like 5 people listening to this that have actually played Kingdom Hearts. And the rest of them are like, I'm not playing this game, which is the right call in some ways. But
yeah, let's face it.
I still love it. I still love it, even though it's.
But yeah, it's tough seeing a series that I love so much not being shown the attention by the developers that it could have gotten.
Exactly.
Like they had the rhythm game that came out on Switch. That was not cloud-based.
Mm-hmm.
It had full cutscenes, full gameplay.
Did you play that?
It wasn't. I played the demo. I kind of refused to pay full price for a rhythm game at this point.
Yeah.
But if it gets more games on the Switch and gets more people playing the series, I'm here for it.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. It's one of those things where I wish the Nintendo Switch had like better internet connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
With the Switch OLED, you get not even a better Wi-Fi chip, I don't even think, but the dock has a built-in Ethernet port, which is how you want to play these cloud-based games.
Absolutely.
And if you're playing it with like a shoddy internet connection just on Wi-Fi, or even if you had a good internet connection on Wi-Fi, I would be pretty hesitant on playing any cloud version of those games.
Yeah. I mean, I recently replayed through the first one on Game Pass when it was on Xbox. And because of how I have my Xbox set up, if I lose internet connection, it kicks me off because I do game sharing with my brother.
Right.
So
is that right away, though?
Pretty much right away.
Oh, wow.
So I was almost all the way through the last boss fight on the first Kingdom Hearts game. It's a nightmare. There's like 6 different phases to it, like 16 different health bars for each phase.
Yep.
And it's just you. You don't have any of your partners. And if you go in there with no items, you're screwed. So I got almost right to the end. And then I just hear a blip, like the Xbox achievement noise, and it goes black. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Because you lose all that progress. It doesn't just spit you back where you left off. It kicks you back to the title screen and says you signed out.
That sucks.
So like, I just can't imagine in something like Kingdom Hearts 3 where you could be in the middle of like an hour-long cutscene or something, and you just lose all that progress. Like, I couldn't imagine.
Man, well, this has been our Kingdom Hearts Minute, everybody. And if you are curious, you should play it. Maybe,
absolutely.
I guess worst comes to worst, you do play it on the Switch. You do plug it into Ethernet. You can buy one of those USB, to Ethernet ports or sticks or whatever to go on your Switch, and you can play the game. I still love it, but you'd have to be a really big kind of A, Disney fan, and B, like anime fan to a degree.
Yeah.
And then just have to deal with like bullshit for days. But it all comes together in a very spectacular, messy way. I'm not really selling it, but Steven knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, if the Switch is your only console and you really want to get into Kingdom Hearts, there's never been a better time to play the entire series because it's all available with the cloud package and with the full release of the rhythm game. But if you own other consoles, like a PlayStation 4, they're pretty cheap to come by now.
Yeah. Xbox
One, there are better ways to play that series and actually have an enjoyable time. So
exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to, I have 3 stories for you and then we'll get into the movie of the week. The one that I won't spend too much time on, but I am curious. Facebook will reportedly change its company name to embrace the metaverse. I don't know what metaverse they are referring to. I feel like everything this day and age is like, what we should consider in movies and everything else is the multiverse. Now, for some reason, Zuckerberg's like, I don't know what? The metaverse for Facebook. Let's change the name. What? Like, what do you think they should change the name of Facebook to if you have an idea?
I think if they're going to change it to anything, they really need to embrace peak boomer culture and just call it the Facebooks.
Yep.
With a plural at the end, of course, just to make it more consistent. But I honestly don't know what they'd change it to, because anything they change it to is still going to carry the company with it. It's still Facebook at its core. You can put a new name on it and a new coat of paint, but I mean, it's still committed war crimes.
Yeah, I ashamedly still use Facebook. To me, it's a necessary evil in many ways to stay connected with people and to promote, Podcavern and stuff. And, it stores a lot of my data and my pictures and all these other things, which is super annoying in a lot of ways. But yeah, I don't think I really looked at Facebook and said, you know what, they really got to change about this whole thing is the name.
The name.
The name needs it. I have a really complicated relationship with the idea of Facebook too, because I think that a lot of people who disengage from Facebook, which is totally fine and totally their call, will completely be like, you know what though? Instagram and WhatsApp, that's where it's at. And I'm like, well, do you know where who owns those companies now? It's really hard, I guess, for me to I feel like Facebook just owns so much.
It's true. And, I myself pulled out of the main Facebook account. So what I've done is I've just created an empty account to use for my Oculus Quest, signing into things with Facebook, and messaging a lot of the smaller stores in the area. Because for a lot of them, it was next to impossible to get a hold of anybody during the pandemic because they probably weren't at the shop.
Oh,
so it was a lot easier to get in touch with them over Facebook Messenger. So I've got kind of just an isolated account that is just with a stock picture almost, and no friends, no nothing. I don't use it for contact, but
it's just your ponytail as the profile picture.
Just the ponytail. But of course, to your point, I do still use Instagram. So it's one of those things you kind of have to make sure you know what you're getting away from and why. And I just dumped the main Facebook account because it held 8 or 9 years worth of personal data that I didn't think Facebook needed anymore.
Well, they have it.
Oh, yeah. You can request for it to be deleted, but that's just like when you ask an employee to go check for something in the back. They go check their phone, talk to their buddy, maybe drink some coffee, and then I shredded it. It's in a million pieces.
Yeah, no, they can bring it back in a second if they want.
Oh, of course. That's why once you delete the account, it's not deleted until Facebook gets around to it. And even then, if you try and sign in after it's been deleted with your email and password, it says, oh, hey, Steven, you're back. Welcome back to Facebook. Look, we kept all your shit for you.
Here's all the questionable things that you've said in the last 9 years.
Yeah. Remember all those pages you liked when you were 13? All those real weird, edgy 2013 memes? Oh, yeah, you need to see those, and we're going to share it with everybody.
God, I get mad at myself staring at things that I said last week. So whenever the memories show what I said 8 years ago, I'm like, I am so freaking embarrassed about everything that's happening here, but so lazy that I won't do anything about it. I won't delete it.
And I mean, at the end of the day, do you need to? It's a part of who you were. And I kept some of it. I downloaded an archive. I've got it thrown on Dropbox or something.
Right.
And I can go dig through how cringy I was just to see, it's a little time capsule.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally get that.
I cannot wait to see what they come up with the name Zuckface. Zuckbook.
I am almost dreading it because of how many support questions I'm going to get around where's my Facebook? Where'd my Facebook go?
Maybe they go bold and they just call it FB.
Just F.
I don't know. Let's go 2 more stories really quick here. One of the things that I needed to bring up, which is the John Wick series has created a TV series. It hasn't come out yet. It's called The Continental. It's based around the assassination group organization that's really prominent in these movies. And the headline was that they basically got Mel Gibson to be in these movies, to be in a starring role.
What?
And it's very strange in terms of like, you got you have Keanu Reeves, who is one of the nicest people in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Mel Gibson, who has let's just say, long story short, a very questionable, stained reputation in Hollywood. I mean, he's kind of an anti-Semite. He's not kind of, he is an anti-Semite.
He is an anti-Semite, yeah.
And it was interesting to me to see that like Twitter was rightly so, in my mind, being like, Mel Gibson, are you freaking kidding me? Like, that's not a good thing to pull. And then IGN, also scum of the internet. I don't know why I keep using it for the show, but they're really quick at doing headlines. A lot of people are like, you know what, Gibson, we should forgive him. And I'm like, oh God, this is getting really political. I guess gut reaction from you, Stephen. Mel Gibson, how do you feel?
I think the best way to phrase it is, I remember the things he's done. Facebook remembers the thing he's done. Pepperidge Farm remembers what he's done. And it's hard to step back from that. I always try and separate art from the artist as much as I can. Mm-hmm. This is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't have anything to add except for like, Mel Gibson, really?
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Put him in something else, I guess. Like he's, at the end of the day, he has talent for sure. Sure. He is a talented person. I just don't want to see him in things I like, I guess.
Yeah, throw him in something animated so I don't have to look at his face. Yeah. I'll hear his voice, and you know what? That's fine. He's got a voice to him. Yeah. But yeah, I don't need to see his face.
Last news story is there's an Uncharted movie trailer that just came out today from the video games. For the people who don't know, it's the Naughty Dog series. There's like 4 of them. Kind of like 4.5, to be honest. And it's very, very, very popular. It's basically like Indiana Jones, like where you have someone looking for treasure, very, very likable main character. And they've been trying to make this into a movie for ages, like forever. They've been trying to do it. Finally, after many, many directors and screenwriters and all this other stuff, they were able to secure Tom Holland, the next hottest star, Tom Holland, as the main character of this movie, and Mark Wahlberg, for some reason, as the other guy. And did you see the trailer just released today?
I haven't seen it just yet, no.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to hear what people think. Now, we are recording this on a Thursday as opposed to the weekend, which we usually do it on. But it's just, what do you want to see out of an Uncharted movie, I guess?
I think when you said it's kind of like Indiana Jones, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I just want, kind of a really high action, funny man who's going to look for some sort of MacGuffin, and what kind of hijinks does he get up to along the way? That's what I loved so much about the first Uncharted game. I've gotten through, I think, 2 and I'm most of the way through 3. But it doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it's trying to be. Yeah. It knows who its audience is. And I don't want it to lose sight of what that core piece was. Because if they were going to do that, just give it a different name. Keep the same movie, different name. That's how I felt after the trailer. Not to get into it too much because you haven't seen it, but I watched the trailer and I was just like, you got Tom Holland, who I do think is a talented actor, if not very miscast in a lot of the things that he's done after Spider-Man. He has not been picking the right movies, in my opinion. And it's an origin story of Nathan Drake, the protagonist of these Uncharted games. And it just looks very like Hollywood normie movie, instead of like, we're trying to adapt Uncharted, which is a very story heavy narrative game. It seems like a very big slam dunk of just taking the writing, taking the same characters and feeling of these video games and plopping it into a movie. I know it's harder than that, but like they did a lot of the work in the video games.
And this movie is just like, where's the the fun stuff? Because like it seems like it's taking itself like not too seriously, but more seriously than it is having fun. Like I don't think Tom Holland in the trailer did any type of fun quips. And
No.
the main character in Uncharted, that's all he does.
Yeah. Like, I guess the best way, if you've never played Uncharted, that I can explain it, it's like if you were to watch like Nathan Fillion in Firefly, that's kind of like what Nathan Drake's like. He's got these real quips that just come out of nowhere and he always knows what to say next. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't know if Tom Holland can do that.
Yeah, and it's like the character in the games is like always kind of like stumbling through situations, barely making it through, barely making a jump, always succeeding, but it's always like skin of your teeth kind of thing, just like, And in this trailer, it's just like, nope, he's just a very capable young man with Mark Wahlberg at his side. Anyways, it's one of those things where I looked at it and I'm like, this bums me out because the curse of the video game movie continues.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm really hoping doesn't happen with Naughty Dog's next franchise that's hitting HBO, The Last of Us.
That's a TV series though, so hopefully that's a little different.
I've got my fingers crossed for that because that's there's a lot that can be unpacked there, and just hope Naughty Dog stays pretty tight with this one because I don't know how tight they were with Uncharted.
I don't think so. Except for Tom Holland's physique, which is very tight for this movie. They are not shying away. They're not shying away of him being like, here's a pose. Here's a pose for this movie. I'm just going to stand here wet and hot.
My shirt got a little ripped. I should just finish ripping it.
There's actually an interview out there where Tom Holland was talking about how he didn't like his performance in Uncharted ahead of the movie, which is never a good sign.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, which he was just like, I played it too much for the camera instead of being in the character. He was like, yeah, I felt myself posing for these shots rather than being in the moment. And I'm like, first of all, thank you for being honest. Second of all, you shouldn't say that ahead of a movie.
Maybe wait until it's out of the box office. I'm sure all the financial directors were really happy about that one.
Yeah.
Like, Tom, what are you doing? Just spoil the movie.
Classic.
Don't crap all over it.
All right. We've talked long enough about the news and all that other stuff. Of course, we have a movie to talk about. Steven, do you want to introduce it for us?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. So this is, I believe, the 12th installment in the Halloween series, Halloween Kills.
40 years ago, the boogeyman came for us. We are the survivors of Michael Myers.
Lori, what do we do?
We fight.
Mom,
Our family will kill him.
we're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna put an end to this. He is not gonna stop killing until we stop him.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
It picks up pretty much right where the last one left off.
Absolutely.
We've got Lori and her family leaving her house with Michael Myers trapped inside while they set it ablaze. And there's a lot of antics that happen in this movie. A lot of I think you said it best when you left. A lot of writing happened in this movie. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we'll kind of get through the spoiler-filled section a little later there, but it's definitely a Halloween movie, and I had a lot of fun while watching it. I think it was great that we got to experience this together. Because it simultaneously felt like a movie from the 80s, a Halloween horror movie from the 80s, filmed in 2020, 2021, whenever it was actually filmed. I enjoyed what I saw. How about yourself?
I thought the movie was fine. Now, we will unpack that a little bit more, but before we do, I'm very curious with actually, before I leave it at that, I should say that I did enjoy the movie, but I did not I think there's a lot of things that I did not enjoy about it as well, because I really like 2018's Halloween movie. I really like the last one. And maybe we can talk about this together. Like, my attachment to the Halloween series is very limited, I will say. I've watched the first one ages ago, so I don't even remember what happened. And Halloween 2018 was kind of like me. I talked a lot about this on the show on Talking Tongue before, where I have been more interested in horror movies as time goes on, at least really well-made horror movies that isn't just like, look how gross we can get. And Halloween felt like that, 2018. And Halloween 2021 felt like it was trying to do a lot, and not a lot of it landed for me. But there is stuff that I did like about it. Now, for yourself, Stephen, what is your attachment to the Halloween franchise?
Very, very similar, actually. You know, I would say probably around a decade ago, me and my brother watched the very first one, and I loved it. I thought it was, you know, a great piece of pop culture from that time frame. It did a lot really, really well and set kind of a lot of standards for horror and slashers going forward. You know, there's a lot of other movies where you're watching it, it's like, oh my God, that's straight out of Halloween. That's a Michael Myers moment right there. And then I didn't watch any of the other films because I don't know, I never really had the need to sit down and continue that story.
Wow.
I really liked how
like
the first one was.
A lot of them are absolutely terrible. So.
Yeah, it seems like they keep trying to reinvent the wheel, keep trying to keep Michael Myers relevant, got to keep selling those Halloween masks, you know, keep the marketing dream alive.
Of course. You know, every year, anytime a Halloween movie comes out, knives are huge on the marketplace. Everyone's trying to buy a knife and a mask.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's ever been either a Halloween party or a get together or, you know, just a straight up Halloween that you don't see someone with a Michael Myers mask walking around. Like,
I mean, it's creepy. It continues
it's iconic.
to be very iconic, and it's a creepy ass mask. Like, regardless of how scared I am of movies, like, I would say this movie didn't really scare me too much. There's some tense moments, but didn't like completely horrify me. I always step away from a movie, and then like every time I have the lights out before I go to bed, I'm like, shit. If I see like Michael Myers go around the corner, I'm dead. Like, it's just one of the, like, when I watched The Ring years and years and years ago, I thought it was a terrible movie. And then as I'm turning off the lights, I look at my TV and I'm like, in this moment, my TV turns on, I'm going to shit myself. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes. So like Halloween movies, neither Stephen and I are like experts on this. Like, it's a very complicated multi-timeline franchise. So if some of the things that we say during this conversation is just like, well, how about in Halloween H2O or in like the return of Michael Myers? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I actually watched a YouTube video that a friend of the show, Taylor Fleming, he sent to me, which was like a 3-minute clip of how Michael has evolved throughout all of these iterations. And it was very interesting because it's always like, okay, and Michael dies here, but not actually. Now he came back. Now he's in a different jumpsuit. Now his hair is slicked back in a different way or slightly different colored. Oh, now he needs to go find his sister, kill his sister. His sister kills him. Now Jamie Lee Curtis is his sister, and it's like, oh, it's
like the Kingdom Hearts of horror movies.
Oh,
like, holy,
there's honestly way too many things that I'm like, even this condensed version that was an animated cartoon trying to tell it to me straight, I'm like, I no idea what's happening. But this movie here, this new kind of trilogy by David Gordon Green, starting with the 2018 Halloween, picks up directly from the first Halloween movie. And all the other Halloween movies that happen afterwards, they just completely disregard. Like, Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, is not his sister in this. And all the other ones are like, he is definitely her sister. Like, it's no sisterness for Jamie Lee Curtis here. And yeah, with the 2018 one, How did you like that one, Stephen?
I definitely didn't hate it. I remember leaving the theater thinking like, I was glad to have gone and seen the movie.
Okay.
It's one of those series that I don't know that I'd ever go to a theater and walk away being like, man, that blew. I really regret spending that money on this. Because at the very least, you're probably going to have a good time. You're going to laugh at some of the stupid decisions that the characters make.
Oh,
and
man.
you're going to have fun with whoever you went with. So at the bare minimum, there's always that experience. But, I'd say I enjoyed it. It was something that set me up for wanting to go see this one. When you reached out, I was like 100%. I was going to watch it anyway.
Yeah. And
so
I always like seeing a horror movie with somebody else. And there's very little people who would go to a movie theater for a horror movie. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. So with this movie in particular, I'm not an expert in the way that like I'm going to say some stuff that it's going to sound like, oh, Tung really knows his shit. No, I Googled it beforehand. But there is a lot of characters, original characters from the first Halloween movie back in the day that have come back in this movie, Halloween Kills. Mm-hmm. So they have like kids, say, in the first movie, and now those same actors are playing characters in this Halloween Kills movie, which is really cool. So like, this is what I do like about this movie is even though I'm not very familiar with it, a lot of the people who have attachment to the original Halloween is getting some sort of either payoff or more like an expansion to Haddonfield, the town. Like there seems to be more lore happening with this town now. And all of the characters from the before movie or the original movie are now getting more fleshed out stories before, spoilers, they may run into a knife or something like that. But yeah, I thought that's a really cool decision. Now, as someone who did not remember the original movie like at all, those moments didn't really hit for me, even though I can appreciate where they were coming from.
Mm-hmm. No, I'd agree there. It took me a while before I started to click. It's like, oh, this is what's happening here. Okay, so these are the same people. Okay. So I'd say they probably could have made it clearer that these were the same characters from the original, just grown up, fleshed out. And I feel like they could have went a little deeper with those characters. Because like you said, just to, dive into some spoilers, they do kind of run into some knives every now and then. So it really seems like if they were going to bring these characters into this world again and, really bring it back to Haddonfield, they could have done a lot more with making you give a shit a little bit more if you don't already have that connection.
So I think that really relies on your attachment to the original Halloween, which I am positive the people who love there's a huge following for Halloween. Mm-hmm. And I'm not one of them, unfortunately, even though I do very much appreciate the series. But I do agree with that is that those moments don't really land for me because like I really don't care that much. It's just like, that's a cool trivia. That's a cool thing that they did this. But the way they use these characters don't necessarily make me be like, yeah, totally worth doing that narrative choice there.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of having all these characters here that you were supposed to already know if we don't know them? Yeah. Like, you have to factor in the least common denominator, which is people that haven't seen any of them and just walked in because, hey, it's a Halloween movie. It's Halloween right now.
Right. It's also kind of like a Halloween reboot in a way because, like, they kind of cut out all those other movies and said, hey, look, this is a new trilogy. So I think a new trilogy, it's a really hard balancing act. I don't know how to do it.
No, I wouldn't have the first idea.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the music really quickly, which just a shout out to John Carpenter and the music, which the Halloween music I find is some of my favorite parts of this franchise. Like it's so iconic and classic. And I felt like it really helped this movie, which I felt like there was misgivings in some of the stuff that was happening, but the music always helped with the tension that they were trying to show on screen. And it like drives too. It's not just the same intro music, the classic Halloween tune. It's there's a lot of like layers of the tunes going on that really help build the atmosphere of the spookiness in Haddonfield.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, I think something that I have to give it credit for is how much it doesn't try to steal the show. You're not watching any one given scene and just listening to the background score. But the background score is always just kind of there, always like part of the scene. It's very important to setting up those scenes. And I both noticed it and didn't notice it at the same time, which I think is a great sign of just really good scoring, really great musical work, and just really well placed timings for it. Like it really hit.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. Let's talk a little bit about Halloween kills in the sense that they kill a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
More than I remember I say any when I mean the last Halloween movie and the first Halloween movie. It really seems more violent. Not to say that it's just like straight up murder the entire time, because I don't think it really is.
No.
But there is quite a lot of deaths and they show it. Where I remember Michael Myers kind of being like a grab and go type of killer, where he would like basically he's like a real guy who that's kind of his horror. I always felt was just like, it's just some dude who can fucking do this in real life. And then later it becomes like, oh wait, well, a real guy that's also immortal. And
he's kind of just a god. I think that's what made it so scary when I watched it the very first time. Like the original Halloween, it's like, that's just a dude. It's just a guy who sneaks up behind you with a knife and drags you into the night. And you're dead. You're guaranteed dead. Yeah.
And this one, it's just like, nah, he's got some immortal shit going on, or at least he's very, very, very durable. And I felt like with the kills in this movie, they were much more, I don't know, slowed down. Like there was like more tension building up before he grabs someone, and then they stuck with the gruesomeness of what he's doing for longer than he did in previous movies, which again, like the best way to describe those is just like he grabs them, he stabs them like very violently, and it's done, moves on. Yeah. And this
you hear one scream and then they hit the ground.
This one, it's just like, let's just show a lot of it. And Michael, it almost seems like he kind of enjoyed it, which is impossible to like tell because he's wearing a mask. But this one, he's just like, I'm going to fucking cut you here. I'm going to stab you here. I'm going to snap your neck after. It's like, okay.
Like there's a lot of like really drawn out scenes of like, the one that I can think of best is when they're in the kitchen and he's got the one guy just bent over the kitchen island and he's just grabbing knives out of the knife rack. And another one into the chest. Oh, and he leans back and grabs another one and another one into the chest. And he does like 8 knives into one guy.
Yeah, it's like, well, my Michael Myers, or my memory of Michael Myers is like, stab, 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 done. Move on. Do whatever thing you got to do. But this guy's just like, I friggin' love killing, which of course he does. Like, he's Michael Myers. So that's something I noticed about this. But I really did. That said, because it's different doesn't mean I didn't like the kills in this movie. I did find it probably more the more enjoyable parts of this movie was like the violence in it.
Yeah, you know, the action scenes really, I feel like if you had less of them in the movie, we'd be having a very different conversation tonight about Halloween kills. Because if we look at this movie as a 50-50, you know, story and exposition and stabby stab, it's like neck and neck. So if you bring the kills down, you're just sitting there listening to Laurie in a hospital bed for most of the movie talk about her life and, you know, her regrets. And she's talking to the other guy. I can't even remember his name. Yeah. Just like, you didn't make the wrong choice 37 years ago or however long. It's like, I couldn't sit there and watch the entire thing if it was that. So
it's a lot of that. So like those narrative beats in the movie don't really hit for me. And I think because this is a common thing that everyone's saying about this movie, and I completely agree, is this very much feels like a middle movie. Everything about this movie is just like, this is just part 2 of a 3-parter here. And so a lot of things are brought up and not a lot of things move.
It's very Last Jedi in that respect almost, where it's like, we're going to give you a bunch of stuff. Man, we're going to finish it next time. Don't you worry.
But the stuff they do finish this time, I feel like just don't do anything for me. Being very cryptic about this. We will get into this in just a second, but that's what I really felt about this movie, was just like, I couldn't get over that. Like, it just, some movies do the second part very, very well. I would say Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, for example, amazing second movie in a trilogy. Yeah. But this one was just like, I could be wrong, but I think I heard that this movie was supposed to be just a 2-parter, like this series. And they're like, you know what? Let's make it a 3-parter. Halloween Kills, and then I think Halloween Ends. And by doing that, you kind of like split the ideas into this movie, and it just like just doesn't always land.
It feels almost unfinished. Like it was supposed to be a full movie with another hour. Because this movie's only an hour and 40 minutes. Like, it's not long compared to movies that are like 2.5, 3 hours long, which is starting to become the norm in Hollywood. Yeah. You know, we're just getting longer and longer. And this was only an hour and 40 minutes. That includes a credit scene at the start and credits at the end. So like realistically, it's probably closer to an hour and 25, an hour 30. Yeah. So it's like, there's a lot going on that they've split across 2 movies. And you really can feel that.
Yeah. Especially with the dialogue, which I do want to talk about right now. Nothing specific, but mostly that like, I felt every time they talked, and I wanted to care about some aspects of what they're talking about. Some things were interesting, like the expansion of like what they thought Haddonfield is, and like, you know, the lore of the town and all this other stuff. And some other stuff was like really heavy handed and just like, all right, I get it. Like, evil dies tonight. Like, the amount of times I heard evil dies tonight in this movie literally could be made into a drinking game.
It could.
I realize what they're trying to do, which like the way they say it is just like their version of like USA.
Exactly.
But like, I'm like, all right, well, this was like really fine the first time you guys said it. And it just keeps getting said. And I'm like, the message is just hammered so much. And it just doesn't do anything extra for me by you guys saying it even more, I guess. And I found with the early scenes of the movie, they start in like the, I guess, late 70s, early 80s, showcasing the first sighting of Michael Myers. I thought the dialogue was perfectly cheesy for that era. And when it jumped ahead to the 2021 or wherever year is more modern, I guess, to the modern times, I thought the dialogue would kind of modernize to like our feeling right now, right? Like how we speak. But it kind of continued to be cheesy. Yeah. And I did... like, part of Halloween, I think, is it's supposed to be a little hokey. It's supposed to have a level of cheese. It's supposed to be kind of funny at times, right? Yeah. But I found some of the dialogue too hokey. Like, it's too cheesy in the modern times. How did you feel about that?
No, I feel the same way. You know, there's in every good horror movie that is going to have some more humor in it, you're going to have a lot of audience reaction, whether it's groans or laughs. I feel like a lot of folks in this theater were laughing at the wrong parts. Like, there was a lot of dialogue where it's just like they're trying to be serious and they say something. It's just like, no human being speaks like that in 2021. Like, it just feels so out of place. And it's interesting that you brought up, like, the start felt like an 80s horror movie. And then the rest of it also did. I felt the exact same way. I felt like if you were to have shown me this, take the cell phones, the technology, take it all out of the movie, stick it in the 80s, and it wouldn't be out of place at all.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is when I remember watching the first Halloween, or the 2018 one, I've only watched it once. So I didn't rewatch it for this movie. Maybe I should have, but I don't remember it being so 80s in the dialogue and stuff, right? Like, it felt more modern, which I did like about it. It's like, here's Halloween, here's the parts you like about it, but here's a modern take. And in this one, it's just like, it's mostly just 80s stuff going on.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, you guys remember the 80s? Like, weren't those times great? Remember Michael Myers? We brought him back.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out with our old boy Mike. Like,
yeah. Let's get into spoiler territory over here, just because I have things to my chest. Things like how Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie, this is something I did like about the movie, is they kind of just sidelined her. Like, in the way that, like, I liked it because it gave more chance for the other characters to shine in the movie, and it didn't have to be the Jamie Lee Curtis show. But it is really just her yelling in the hospital, being like,
yeah,
either like, we did it, we killed him, or like, yay, we gotta kill him. Evil has to die tonight.
Kill him. Wait, no, you gotta stop.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, we have to bring this up, which in the movie, and again, we're talking spoilers, there's a whole thing which I felt like was one of the biggest parts that did not land for me, because they're building towards this, where they have the people of Haddonfield who are just a bunch of dummies who are just like, we gotta kill Michael Myers tonight. And you have one guy who's, I guess, his original from the original, who's kind of like leading the charge, is like, everybody, that's Michael Myers. And just like, you have like I'm not sure, probably from like a mental institution, walk into the hospital, not Michael Myers, and everybody's chasing him. Nobody's listening to anybody. And the idea is that, oh, Michael made us do this. We are the evil or we have become evil because of him. And maybe he's not so evil. We are. It's like a lot of those,
it's a little preachy. Like, when I was watching it, a lot of what the feeling that I got was like they were trying to say, look at what the world has turned into. You know, there's someone that the world doesn't like. Everybody's got to go kill him right now. We got to go get him. We don't need evidence. We'll get that later. Everybody grab your pitchforks. Evil dies tonight. Then they start chanting and they turn into a mob. Like, they turn into a vicious mob chasing somebody through a hospital that they have no idea. And they just don't even listen to anybody around. They're just like, we're killing this guy. We're gonna do it.
And that's what I mean. It's heavy-handed because, of course, it makes sense to the world today, even like in the world in general, of like, this is how reactive we can become. Look at what happens when, like, we're not listening to each other. Look what happens when we let evil consume us. And they spend a long time building these themes and stuff in the movie, which I would say is like kind of like one of the main themes that they were trying to build. And then all culminates with this guy kind of jumping off the building of the hospital and just completely getting owned. Like, his body and parts are everywhere, which is kind of gnarly and really awesome. But other than that, I was just like, this doesn't work. And you have Judy Greer's character, who I love as an actress. I hope she gets way, way more work. She's just like, I'm going to save you. And she locks all the doors and she does nothing.
Yeah, she just lets it happen. Like, she doesn't even lock herself in the room with the guy to give, like, you know, a voice to be like, this guy's like 4 feet tall. You know how tall Michael Myers is, right? Like, he's gargantuan. Like, this is not him. Like, look at this little guy.
Yeah, a lot of character choices in this movie, including her, just drive me bananas. And I would include, there's a scene later in the movie when they're confronting Michael Myers in, it might be his house, yeah. And Lonnie, one of the original characters, comes with Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter, Judy Greer's daughter, and I guess like her ex-boyfriend or boyfriend from the first movie, I think it is.
Yeah, and Facebook status, it's complicated.
Yeah. And the guy who knows, he's a survivor of Michael Myers. He knows that Michael Myers is a stone cold killer, has killed many, many people, has survived the most gruesome of endings. He goes, I'm going to go it alone.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to go in this house alone. I'm going to knock on the door, make sure he's home. bring in a gun, and that's it.
Yeah, the thing that really made like that, what I laughed at wasn't so much him going in alone. I almost expect that. It's that he knocked on the door before going in. Like, is Michael going to come to the door and be like, hello, how can I help you? Like, no, he's going to probably stand on the other side or come up behind you with a knife. Like,
Yeah.
how dumb can a character get?
There's a lot of dumb decisions in horror movies in general, but I felt like this was that's what I mean. I couldn't tell if it was like intentional in a lot of ways. It's like, is this a nod to how dumb horror movie characters are? Or did you guys just think this was like a good idea? Because sometimes it toes the line. I'm like, I can't tell if they know.
Yeah.
And
like, I think exactly to that, the scene where Michael Myers enters the older couple's house and he gets the older man, and the woman's got like 15 minutes of screen time to get out of this house as he's slowly walking towards her with a knife, and she's fumbling with the lock. She's backing herself into the corner. It's like, just go, just leave. What are you doing? Why are you standing there?
Fast at walking. He won't get you if you run. Like,
yeah, if you run, you'll probably be fine. Get in the car and drive.
But she gets owned. She gets
owned.
Oh
yeah, she gets really owned too. Like, that was one where I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. And there's like one where at the very beginning of the movie, Michael Myers just being in someone's car, the couple's car, the Halloween costumes where they're like a nurse and a doctor, which they actually are, which is a terrible costume. It's like, you went for Halloween as your job
as
in
yourselves.
Real life.
Nice.
That's not that great. Anyways, one guy's just like, oh, I forgot my stethoscope. And it's just like very classic horror movie thing of like, hey, Michael Myers is on the loose. They're leaving the bar because they know he's on the loose. And this guy's like, I gotta go back for my stethoscope. It's like, come on, man.
Like, here, don't come with me or anything. Go sit in the car by yourself while there's a madman on the loose that's caused an emergency alert to everyone's phones.
And that's where I'm confused with my feelings on Halloween in general, where it's just like, it's endearing in a way because that stuff's funny and kind of great that still exists. But it's also like, man, a lot of these characters for a modern movie are making some really dumb decisions. And there has to be a way to modernize some of these decisions to make it fit a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And, you know, I just kind of wish that if they were going to have this be a Halloween reboot, like it feels like they're trying to do by nixing 9 movies, I wish they would have just put a little bit more care into making it have a purpose outside of just Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, none of the characters really feel like there's more motive behind doing anything than just, we got to kill this guy. Like,
yeah. And you got the guy who's just, they only listen to that one guy who said evil dies tonight. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll go kill this guy, which is fair. They should kill Michael Myers. And this is what bothers me too, is this entire mob brings the completely wrong things to kill Michael Myers.
I'm going to kill him with a baseball bat.
Yeah, this old baseball bat. I'm going to go down swinging. A lot of the dialogue is very cheesy and very on the nose. And then you got like people with pitchforks. One guy brings a gun, like a normal person trying to kill us, like a walking immortal serial killer. And everybody else is just like, I'm just gonna rough them up.
I've got a pillowcase full of bricks. I'm gonna hit him over the head with it. Like,
it's ridiculous in a fun but also weird way. And it's frustrating. Like, Judy Greer's character, who's had enough of Michael Myers, has his knife, stabs him in like the back instead of like the head. It's just like these decisions where I'm like, you know, out of everyone, the last movie, you fought him. You know how bad this guy is. Finish the job.
Like, even when they're, you know, kind of standing around just going hog wild on him with bats and, you know, hitting him with pitchforks and kicking him in the head, I guess. Like, you stopped and you didn't check to see if he's dead. You're just like, all right, well, we had to stab him with a pitchfork 3 or 4 times. You don't come back from that. He's done. I kicked him in the head 3 times. He's done. Like,
He's done. Yeah.
I wore my best steel toes. Like,
I mean, I get it if it's a normal person, but they really have a legend of this boogeyman in Haddonfield. You figured they'd go beyond and like burn him or something. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's like horror movie logic. It's just those things that I'm just like, they need a 3rd movie. So obviously he lives.
yeah.
But there is like some thrilling parts too. Like I think like when he is kind of stalking one of the groups that are following him in a car, and like the nurse and the doctor, they die very gruesomely. And you know, Michael not only kills them in like really like stalkerish and like kind of like high tension type of ways, but he also like puts their bodies on the playground with like a pumpkin head. And that stuff's like cool and creepy. Like I like those.
Like that felt really good. It was like, okay, this is getting somewhere. He's getting creative. Okay. Yeah. Like once they started, I feel like letting Michael have fun with it. Like you said, it kind of feels like he's just enjoying his time in this movie, killing everybody.
But I'm not sure if that's what the movie's trying to tell us, or if that's what I'm projecting on it. Because at the end of the day, Michael's goal is just to go home. That's all he wants to do, is go back to his childhood home and kill Big John and Little John, which are like the comedic duo in this movie, which I'm like, they're fun, but are they out of place a little bit? They're like a little too fun at times. I don't want to be a party pooper because I like funny stuff in horror movies to break it up a little bit, but they seemed extra goofy in this movie, and they die terribly. And Michael kind of positions them in a really sweet way, which kind of like is weird in my mind, where it's just like they have a picture of them lying, like one guy lying on someone's lap, and Michael brutally kills them and then positions them in that way. So I'm like, but why would Michael do that?
Yeah, and puts the record player on, which is a very nice touch.
Very nice touch, but why would he do that? I don't understand, but
it doesn't make sense to his character. Like I could get like putting a pumpkin head on them and stringing them up from the swing set. Like that kind of makes sense. It's like he's sending a message, I will kill you because I can kill you.
Yeah. But this one was just like, I'm going to kill you in this nice way, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to stare at myself because there's a lot of like reminders that he killed his sister, and that all he wants to do is stare out the window of her room. And then the whole theme of like, well, is he staring out the window, or is he staring at a reflection back to himself?
Yeah.
Or is he a 6-year-old in a man's body? Like it's a lot of reminders of what the themes are in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not enjoy those parts, but like I said, they do kind of hit you a lot with it. But I will say the ending of the movie surprised me. What did you think of like the very end of the movie?
Yeah, you know, I didn't see it coming. Like I couldn't have predicted it from the beginning. I couldn't have really called something like this happening until the end. It's one of those endings where it's like they pull a bait and switch. They're ready for you. But the thing that as soon as the credits started rolling, it's like, right, they're doing a 3rd movie. Yeah. So it's like they had to give you some reason to want to go see it. You want to know what happens after this. So
yeah.
I enjoyed it because after all the violence and the death in this movie, the 3rd one could shape up to be really interesting with some of the new characters that we've got.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Laurie's granddaughter, who's shaping up, as far as I can pull, to be one of the lead actresses in the next movie. Yeah. You know, it really seems like they want to set it up for her to steal the show. I'm here for it. It made me want to go see the next Halloween movie.
I'm going to definitely see the next Halloween movie for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know that after Halloween 2018, I said, yeah, you know, I'm definitely going to see the second one. I think it was a case of like, Yeah, I'd probably go see another one. Sure, why not? This makes me want to. I want to see how this movie ends.
All right, yeah. Now the ending that I'm talking about for people, or just to remind you, is just Judy Greer's character, who has like a big arc in the movie, which, you know, big arc in the way that she wasn't able to save the patient in the hospital, which was like, you know, it's part of her thing. She was trying to protect her daughter, trying to protect her mother, and she goes out and she fights the shit out of Michael Myers, leaves the scene where everybody else is still there getting their asses kicked, which I don't understand the timeline of that. Is she's there, she stabs him, she leaves, but everyone else is still there. Like, what?
Yeah.
But anyways, she decides to look outside the window of Michael Myers' sister's room. She turns around. He's there. He kills her brutally.
Yeah.
Stabs her to shit.
Just goes right for it.
And it's thrilling. I would say that was like a really like, whoa, that's cool. I do want to see the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, is it fair to say that, like, from your kind of talking about it, like, did you like Halloween Kills more than Halloween 2018, or is it about the same?
I'd say it's about the same.
Okay.
I would say that there's a lot of things that probably would have made me enjoy it more had it had more time to be fleshed out. Like, maybe if they, I don't even want to say delay it, because it makes sense to have it in the month of October. It doesn't really make sense to take Halloween and have it be in November or December.
Yeah.
So like, I think they kind of did what they had to without delaying it a whole year. I think if they did, though, they could have fit this third movie into the second one. Just have it be, you know, 2 movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really would have made me say, okay, that was great. That had a lot of really strong points. You know, I feel like they just needed more time. And then it could have been so much stronger.
Yeah. Like, my thoughts is that I love the 2018 one. I thought this one was fine, like I said. And I'm curious to see how it ends. I certainly did not have fun at this movie. I think there's a lot to like about it. But at the end of the day, I think some of the dialogue choices, the character choices, just like what even just happens in this movie, which honestly amounts to not much, is kind of like a little bit of a letdown. And I think tonally it's a bit over the place, where it's like trying to juggle humor and horror. And I don't think it strikes the right balance all the time. So like, yeah, for me, it's like a big visual movie. Like, I'm glad I saw it in a theater with a good sound, with a good big picture, but narratively, it definitely left me wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe that's part of the reason why I'm so excited for a third one, because I'm like, you gotta give me something. Like, come on, you can't just put all these pieces together. Like, the movie visually looked really great. It sounded great. I feel like the editing was fine. Like, the pacing from the editors, I feel like they did a good job putting the movie together. I just don't know that there was enough movie for them to work with.
Yeah, totally. I don't know where this belongs, but I really did enjoy when her like ex-boyfriend died. Like, that was a pretty brutal kill on the stairs.
That was brutal.
He was
man.
like mashing him at like his neck on like the staircase kind of thing, like the top of the railing.
Edge. Yeah. Like,
yeah, it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. And then just like Mercy killed him at the end at that point, because he wasn't dead through all of it. He was just like dying viciously.
I was surprised
like,
he went for the quick neck snap, because I'm like, that is a mercy kill for Michael Myers.
Yeah, right?
Like, I thought he would like easily stab him through the head or something.
Yeah, that's where I thought that was going. Like, why, or like cut his head clean off or something. Like, why else is his head through the stair railing like this? Like,
yeah. For a good neck snap. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Steven, any final thoughts of this movie, and how would you rate it?
I think as far as final thoughts go, I think that for all the chanting that they did of Evil Ends Tonight, I don't think that they set out to accomplish the goal that they wanted to. And that goes for both the characters and the directing. I think that they just didn't finish what they needed to do. So hopefully they do well with the third one. I'm optimistic. But as far as ratings go, I liked it. And I think that if I had to throw a number to it, I'd probably give it like 3 smuggled in hospital knives wrapped in a bloody towel out of 5.
That's really good. I remember when they did, we're like, that's not sanitary. And how the fuck did you sneak a bloody knife into the hospital?
Like a whole machete. Like, this thing's not tiny. Like,
I would rate this movie. Let's see. 4 montages of Michael Myers getting the shit kicked out of him out of 7 single montage of him getting back at everyone and stabbing everyone in slow motion.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, Steven. Oh man, what a biggie. We covered a lot in today's episode.
I feel like we did.
Yeah. Do you have anything to plug for the people at home?
Honestly, nothing of my own. I don't have a lot of creative projects that I've been working on right now, but I would really encourage everyone listening, take a look at some of the local charities in your area around either the arts or, try and help some kids. One of my favorite charities right now that I've donated to in the past and have done a lot of work. And it's one that I believe you've worked with in the past as well, Save the Children.
We've worked with Sick Kids before.
Sick Kids.
Yes.
Okay. Save the Children is a great one. I'm just pulling up some information from them so that I can get it direct from the source the best. So Save the Children, their kind of whole initiative is to reach the most vulnerable children in about 120 countries around the world. That also includes Canada. Mm-hmm. And they help share them the resources that kids need to survive, whether that be from a medical standpoint, an education standpoint, or just helping them, have a good environment to grow up in. It's, something that really hits home with me. A lot of kids that I grew up with didn't have the resources that I did. I was very fortunate. So I like to try and, share that out and help as many people as I can. So I definitely recommend that, if you've got the time, see what you can do to help volunteer in your local area. And at the very least, if you can't share your time, try and share some of your resources back with the kids. It's for the kids.
It's for the kids, everyone. I love this. Steven, you're such a wholesome person, especially during Halloween. See, everyone, Halloween can be a heartwarming month. It doesn't have to be just kills and bloody knives. We can do some good in the world, can't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. And for myself, you can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. Check out all the shows there for more spooky stuff happening. But until next time, Steven, do you want to sign us out with your world famous catchphrase?
Hey, I just want to say it's been a blast. And to everyone listening at home, stay frosty, keep it real, and keep those toes on ice.
Bye, everyone.
See you.